reportedly snapped inside the Indiana Fever practice facility last week. And this time, it wasn't about stats, minutes, or even wins. It was about control, according to multiple insiders close to the situation. Stephanie White, the Fever's head coach, and Caitlin Clark, the team's generational rookie, allegedly got into a heated verbal exchange during practice. It wasn't violent or physical, but it was loud. One phrase echoed through the gym: "I'm still the coach here." From that moment on, the atmosphere in the locker room hasn't been the same. No cameras caught it, no mic'd up segments aired it, but the whispers spread fast. Because when a coach has to remind a superstar who's in charge, it's clear something within the team dynamic has shifted, maybe for good. When the Fever drafted Caitlin Clark with the #1 overall pick, it seemed like a perfect pairing on paper. Clark, the high-octane, record-breaking scorer with unlimited range, and Stephanie White, a respected coach known for developing young talent. And
I'm just so proud of with this group is it doesn't matter who's on the floor, it doesn't matter who's on our roster. They give each other the freedom to be themselves. They empower one another to be themselves and to be the best version of themselves.
Praised Clark's competitiveness early on, calling her a generational player with a leadership gene. Clark returned the respect, crediting White for trusting her voice in playmaking. Everything seemed perfectly aligned, the superstar and the steady hand guiding her. But success changes people, or at least how they're perceived. The moment Clark started dominating headlines, the balance began to shift. The Fever turned into a media circus overnight. Reporters, cameras, endorsements, and more cameras. Through it all, White was forced to share her authority with a 22-year-old rookie whose shadow now stretched across the entire franchise. Behind the scenes, the Fever weren't functioning like a normal basketball team anymore. Players were reportedly asked to adjust their media schedules to accommodate Clark's sponsor events. Practice footage was being reviewed not only by the coaching staff, but also by marketing executives, checking which clips could go viral. It might sound minor.
Has single-handedly revived the WNBA, and every player needs to thank her. The WNBA has been a losing organization since their first season in 1997. In 27 years, they have lost an average of $10 million per year, and they're projected to lose $50 million in just this.
Suddenly, basketball started to feel secondary to optics. Stephanie White was reportedly trying to keep things balanced, demanding accountability, structure, and a clear sense of hierarchy. But Caitlin Clark's growing fame made that nearly impossible. One insider described the atmosphere like this: "It's not that Caitlin disrespects White. It's that the power she holds outside the gym naturally bleeds into what happens inside it." Then came the practice everyone's been whispering about, a midweek closed session. The Fever were coming off a frustrating loss, and White reportedly wanted to slow things down, refocus on defense and team execution. Clark, on the other hand, was locked into her rhythm, pushing for a faster pace, quicker reads, and more freedom in the offense. When White stopped a drill to redirect the players, Clark allegedly kept calling out adjustments, trying to lead the next.
Go to grab the ball, and then I just dribble out, and I literally just start smiling so big, and I look at Steph, and I told her after the game.
That better be on film.
Yeah, I'm you don't understand how hard it was for me to not throw that, and she's like, oh, I know, trust me. Everybody was like, we saw you about to.
Went silent. Teammates like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell froze. Even the assistant coaches hesitated. One witness described it as the most uncomfortable silence of the season. Clark, reportedly stunned, didn't respond. She simply looked toward her teammates, gave a slight nod, and walked to the sideline. Practice ended just minutes later. It was brief but powerful, because in that instant, everyone saw the power struggle that had been building for months finally burst into the open. After that practice, the Fever reportedly held a closed-door team meeting. Clark didn't say much. Sources claim she sat quietly while the veterans voiced frustration about media pressure and the team's focus. White addressed the group, saying she wanted everyone moving in the same direction, but the energy was tense. Later that evening, a few players reportedly went out together without Clark. It wasn't meant as a snub, just a way to decompress. They were frustrated and needed space. Meanwhile, Clark's camp, including her management and PR team, allegedly reached out to Fever executives, concerned about how the story might leak. And it didn't take long. Within 48 hours, word began to spread among WNBA reporters and social media accounts that something heated had gone down in
because
practice.
if you watch that play where
Once
she
that
didn't
phrase hit
pass
the
Kelsey the
internet,
ball after
the
Coach
floodgates
Stephanie
opened.
White benched her for having a few turnovers in a row, that would have been a momentum shift in the game. That actually looked like it could have been a wide open pass, and it's something that Caitlin does.
Began speculating. Had Stephanie White lost the locker room? Or had Caitlin Clark simply outgrown the chain of command? It's no secret that owner Steve Simon is fully invested in the Caitlin Clark era. He's poured millions into attendance, facilities, and marketing, all to capitalize on the Clark effect. So when news of the confrontation reached his desk, insiders say Simon didn't ignore it. He reportedly called an emergency front office meeting that included White, GM Lynn Dunn, and PR staff to discuss internal communication control. In other words, how to keep this story quiet before it exploded. But Simon wasn't just thinking about damage control. He was thinking about future control. If the relationship between White and Clark couldn't be repaired, Simon would face a brutal decision: protect the coach who built the structure, or the superstar who is the structure. And make no mistake, this isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about the Fever's entire brand identity. You could feel the divide growing. Some veterans reportedly sided with Stephanie White, saying she'd been too patient, while the front office and media.
What did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
I'll ask about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that you guys came for back.
Others felt Clark was being unfairly targeted, pointing out that her intensity, passion, and demand for excellence are exactly what make her elite. The locker room quietly split into two camps: those who valued the system and those who valued the superstar. One anonymous player summed it up with brutal honesty: "It's not about who's right. It's about who the franchise listens to." When that quote leaked online, fans knew exactly what it meant. Control of the Fever wasn't just being questioned anymore. It was up for grabs. Publicly, both sides handled things perfectly. White smiled through interviews, praising Clark's competitive spirit. Clark smiled right back, saying White pushes her to be better. It was textbook PR, but fans paying close attention noticed the subtle changes. Clark's post-game interactions with teammates seemed colder. White's tone in press conferences sounded flatter, less animated. And those once frequent hugs between coach and star after big wins? Gone. It felt like they'd agreed to keep the peace, not because they'd solved the problem, but because they had to. Neither could afford another headline this close to the playoffs. What most fans don't realize is that leaks like this rarely happen by accident. They're strategic. When an insider story with quotes and details appears, it usually means someone wants it out there. Some believe the leak came from players loyal to White, frustrated that Clark's influence was going unchecked. Others think it was Clark's camp trying to get ahead of a negative narrative, framing it as a passionate exchange instead of a power struggle. Either way, it worked. The internet exploded with debate. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's really in control? Meanwhile, Fever management quietly shifted attention back to ticket sales, charity events, and highlight reels. Because in sports PR, the rule is simple. If you can't...
I've been giving the benefit of the doubt this entire season. I just would hate to see some of the things that make Caitlin Caitlin, the things that fans love the most about Caitlin, be coached out of her. Those risky passes, the 10 turnovers, it might just...
This situation isn't just an Indiana Fever problem. It's a WNBA problem. The league is entering a new era, driven by media-powered stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and soon, Juju Watkins. These players don't just play the game, they move markets. They sell jerseys, boost ratings, and attract sponsors the league has never seen before. But that kind of power comes with a price. Coaches, owners, and league officials now have to balance traditional basketball hierarchy with influencer-style celebrity. Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete, she's a business. And in this business, control means money. Stephanie White represents what the league used to be: discipline, respect, and systems built to last. Caitlin Clark represents what the league has to become: entertainment, freedom, and personality-driven dominance. Their reported clash wasn't personal, it was philosophical, and the entire WNBA is watching how Indiana handles it. Because if the Fever can't stabilize this superstar dynamic, every other franchise with a rising face of the league could face the same storm. Right now, insiders say the Fever are moving forward. Practices have reportedly been calmer, but the tension still lingers. Clark continues to put up massive numbers on the court, while White remains composed on the sidelines, yet the relationship hasn't fully healed. Steve Simon's next move could define everything. If he sides too heavily with Clark, he risks losing the locker room. If he sides with White, he risks alienating the biggest star the league has ever seen. It's a no-win situation unless both women can rebuild trust. And that's something no owner, PR team, or press release can force. At the end of the day, this story is about more than a heated practice argument. It's about the evolution of power in modern women's basketball. Once upon a time, coaches were untouchable. Now the athletes are the system. Stephanie White had every right to reassert her authority. She's earned her place. But Caitlin Clark has also earned her influence. She's carried the WNBA to record-breaking heights. The question now isn't who's right, it's can they coexist? Because the Fever's future, and maybe even the WNBA's next decade, depends on it. If you think Stephanie White was right to take control, drop a ice in the comments. If you believe Caitlin's leadership should be trusted more, hit that like button and let your voice be heard. Either way, this story isn't over. Make sure you subscribe, because when the next chapter of this Fever saga unfolds, it could shake the entire league.